I was lying between her thighs when I looked up and saw my reflection in her eyes. I recalled her burden she tried to share with me. I couldn't wrap my mind around her pain, so I did my best to wrap my heart around it. Now my heart is aching. I'm not sure when knowing no better became an excuse for neglect and abuse. What would drive a young girl of 12 from home to the streets to eventually creep into the sheets of strangers that don't love them at all? If home is where the heart is, then a broken home is just a broken heart. And the deeper I looked into this woman-child's eyes, I saw deposits and composites of pain stretching into generations of festering wounds. I tried to understand, but intellectually I couldn't. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't wrap my mind around it. I got headaches just thinking about it. Every time she bled, it was like a bone from an infant finger poking from inside her womb, screaming psychically, "Why you murder me, mama?" I recalled her story in the middle of a pause as her vocal cords choked by memory thawed. She was a little girl in a grown woman's body. I listened to her not oft repeated stories of rape by old and young boys on foot or hanging from vehicle windows hollering game to get her name and digits or hopefully into withdrawals later on. She learned young, perhaps too young, the commodity she held between her thighs. The power she wielded made her able to bring kings to their knees, begging and pleading for her company, sometimes driving men to rob, maim, or kill in her name. But I just keep thinking, between her beauty and youth, she was gold to latent pedophiles, wanting to take for lovers daughters they wish were theirs. Every time she bled, it was like a bone from an infant finger poking from inside her womb, screaming psychically, "You murdered me, mama." Being poor shouldn't have to mean impoverished living. Desperate times don't always call for measures so desperate. It must be a mind-twisting experience to birth the origin of the track line, spiderweb in your veins, secretly wishing this son of a rapist, a virtual twin, to off himself like his father did to spare this world another him. But despite this revulsion, she loves him anyway, self-medicating to resolve this contradiction. Every time she bled, it was like a bone from an infant finger poking from inside her womb, screaming psychically, "Why you murder me, mama?" Parents give the best they have to offer, but this woman child told me her story, and her parents' best didn't include a father's protective love or a mother loving her fiercely. As a matter of fact, they were too busy warring with each other and warring with themselves, wrestling with demons with both hands tied behind their backs to notice the little ones were pleading for them to stop. Looking into this woman's child's eyes, I saw my own mother's reflection, bawling in her son's arms, seeking the love and comfort she never received growing up, crying aloud, "Why don't my mama and daddy love me, Lord?" And there'd be nothing but deafening silence in return. Is it a surprise? Is it a surprise then, if a mother's every gesture becomes an "I hate you"? Every glance a shooting dagger, and every word a punch in the stomach, knocking the wind out, always too black, always too fat, always too this, that, and the other in her mother's eyes. Every time she bled, it was like an infant finger. It was like a bone from an infant finger poking from inside her womb, screaming psychically, "Why you murdered me, mama?" I wondered if that was why she liked bragging about making some lonely lesbian give up her paycheck for a hug and a kiss. It sort of seemed like she was aiming for a moment of bliss, being a man for once in a relationship. From between her thighs, looking into her eyes, I recognized symptoms of love starvation. So always from the jump of each relationship, she came up short. I still see the strawberries fresh on her flesh. From every moment she was picked on and kicked down, beaten up and put down. She walked surprised every day that she's still up, living and breathing. Woman child frequently looks to her child as a watering well, drawing strength, courage, and faith, loving mightily, leaning heavily, holding tightly, wounding deeply, bruising constantly. It's no wonder that every time she bled, it was like a bone from an infant finger, poking from inside of her womb, and hearing it scream psychically, "Why you murdered me, mama?"